Hey, this is Notser, and today we're taking a look at the Tier 10 American Destroyer gearing. We are on the map North. My build is on the screen. This is going to be the build I'm going to rock in 8.4 when rank season goes live with aircraft carriers. You're going to have to deal with it, and I'm going to talk to you through the build and also this game. Now, slot 3, extra flak. I obviously have the legendary module in slot 5, better concealment. I do trade a little bit of gun reload and torpedo reload for that extra concealment, but I think it's worth it. And then in slot 6, I actually pick up the AA that improves the continuous and also the flak DPS. Now, from a commander standpoint, you'll note there's not a single skill other than basic firing training, and I would take that skill regardless of its benefit to the AA game because it helps my main battery. So I must implore everyone, seriously consider basic firing training on every single DD. It really is that good. Your main battery reload is honestly the most important stat in the game from a DD standpoint. It allows you to deal with a lot of targets and it makes you more competitive. And on top of that, to get a little bit of a bonus in the air game, I mean, I take it on literally everything. Quite literally every single DD has basic firing training. Now, it's not the first one. Usually takes survivability expert, but eventually I do. And we move forward, and there was an enemy trying to capture C point. I don't really want him capturing C point, so I'm working on my guns, openly firing. I'm not too afraid. I've got a teammate that's covering me from an AA standpoint, and also I'm trying to bait the enemy to do exactly as he did, drop his smoke, because he really wants to capture it. And the friendly Salem, Rootin' Tootin', he's not going to be in position to radar. Remember, the Salem has a shallow radar. It trades that for a better heal. And man, he's taking a lot of damage in that position. We had some communication during this moment where, I really want him to stay alive. That's obviously very beneficial to my own health, but also if I have a good teammate alive, I can rely on him later on. And I don't think taking C or contesting it that much is worth our lives. However, I did send torpedoes, and it did look like the Atago might run into them, but clearly the Atago didn't, and the enemy gearing, unfortunately for him, sailed directly into those torpedoes and died. And I got everything I wanted from that. Now there's only one enemy DD left, and as long as I stay alive, we have an advantage. So this is a 2DD, 1 CV per side. Obviously the 1 CV, he's going to hunt me down and annihilate me. But at this point, don't really see anything. Now take note of the friendly DD. Yeah, he is sailing literally directly south. He's got 3, 4, 5 enemy ships that are chasing him. I think he's trying to go to the J10 line. Maybe he's got to do an autograph session or something. I don't know why you would choose to do this strategy. It's a very bad strategy, and he's going to die. He's going to die to the enemy aircraft carrier. Now, how can I use that to my advantage knowing that he's going to die? Well, I was attempting to move forward and maybe capture C point, but catching sight of the Worcester, that basically shut that down. There's no way I'm going to risk being seen, because as far as they're concerned, they don't know exactly where I'm located. But if I go into C point, the Worcester definitely knows. So instead of going towards the objective, I made a conscious decision to not even attempt to touch the capture. And we get a double radar. A little bit better communication, guys. I know it was almost instantaneous. Both sides were trying to keep people spotted. I sent torpedoes, blind, maybe catching the Worcester being aggressive coming towards me. You have to think about a couple steps in advance to what could potentially happen, just to close up any weaknesses in your strategy. Now, the enemy Atago, for whatever reason, he's sailing way too far forward, and he did try to use a fighter, which was spotting me. I didn't expect the fighter there, but my AA was good enough to contribute enough to protect the teammate. Now, you might be wondering, what an interesting build, Notser. Why did you choose certain modules and commander skills? Well, the mod 3 slot provides 2 extra flak bursts, which is a big gain for DDs. It's far bigger for DDs than any other class in the game. And I would be choosing that over a little bit faster aiming and a little bit more consistency in my aim. That's obviously a loss, but I think it's a necessary loss considering how powerful aircraft carriers are when considering DDs. In the slot 6, I choose the continuous DPS, the flak, which isn't very good, but it's better than nothing. And I am sacrificing a lot of reload on either my guns or my torpedoes, but I have to do that. I have to at least give myself a chance against aircraft carriers, and we're going to see how well it works out. So far, the enemy has not come our way, but that may change since there is an enemy attack rocket on approach, and he did catch sight of me, however brief, trying to assist with some AA. And then as far as the commander is concerned, basic firing training is a must-take on every DD in my opinion, regardless of the AA part of it. But because it increases the AA effectiveness, every single DD must take Survivability Expert and basic firing training. There is no option in my opinion. They're just too good. Your main battery reload being improved, your ability to defend yourself from, honestly, the hardest counter in the game to you, the aircraft carrier, you've got to do it. And I know that sucks, but success rate went way up when I included basic firing training on pretty much every DD prior to all this CV stuff. So there's so many excuses for why you don't need to take it, but the best excuse to take it, it just makes your main battery better. And your main battery is your bread and butter. Every single DD should be using their main battery. Now, openly versus in smoke, that's a whole different conversation. But you're already getting a great skill, and then on top of that, it's protecting yourself from air. It's a win-win. And then I did try and run this build a while ago without radiolocation. I swapped that for manual AA, and I just didn't feel like manual AA was 4 points worthy for a DD. It improves the sector switching time from 5 seconds to 4.5. Wow, that's just a huge improvement. Almost unnoticeable, let's be real in combat. And the 20%, well, it's nice. Spending 4 points on a skill and only getting 50% value from it, radiolocation's a better skill. It helps you in so many ways. It tells your team and yourself a general location of the enemy, which you can then follow up with torpedoes, and you can also set up ambushes. It flows better with the build, and I highly recommend the build that I've gone. It really, truly will probably be the best build for the gearing when 8.4 rank season aircraft carriers, because you're going to have to deal with it yourself. 7 versus 7. Very low chance that you're going to have someone watching your back from the AA space. And even with all these skills, you're still going to take chip damage. So you kind of have to beat the enemy aircraft carrier before he can beat you. And the enemy Massachusetts showed a ton of sign. I was just trying to set some fires for free. Looks like he's used his damage control though. So we know that teammates could follow up and do extra damage. Now I could go towards C point, but there's still a Worcester somewhere south of C and D. I actually want to push into the enemy base and take B, because I have a sneaking suspicion that there's nobody west of my position. Now, if there's no one west of my position, this is a free take. There's literally nothing they can do other than the aircraft carrier would be a huge risk. If I wasn't this build, I would not do this. With that aircraft carrier still alive and very well, this is a huge, huge risk, but the reward is massive. Now, I made a little bit of a goof here. I used my defensive AA. I should not have done that. It was a waste, and you notice I instantly turn it off because I don't want him to see this. And that's one less charge of defensive AA that maybe I need later on in this game. These all add up, nobody's perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. It's whether they actually highlight that they're a mistake or act like they were planned. That was not planned. To kill one aircraft and waste 50 seconds or 40 seconds of it? No. So we were able to break through, though, conveniently, and there's a couple enemy battleships who are trying to take C point, albeit probably a fruitless endeavor. We're going to be trying to cross torpedo. We want to close up any of the retreat paths. You either move forward and die, or you stay stationary and die. It's your poison. Most of the time, against me, I find that they'll choose to move forward, but, we'll see. Now, I am capturing this base. I am yelling to the world, the DD is here. Come and get me. Because I'm not spotted, and it's clearly ticking up at a very fast rate, they can put 2 and 2 together. But hopefully, they put 2 and 2 together too late. Because look at how the enemy deployed. That Shimakaze, remember we talked about the Shimakaze, he drew everyone over to the eastern side of the map. And I do mean everyone. And oh, here we go. Incoming enemy on approach. Now, one subtle thing you can do is turn your AA off, but I didn't want to do that. I am completely comfortable with him seeing me, and he flew directly into a flak burst, and it's very hard. DDs have very accurate flak bursts. That's one of the reasons why Mod 3 is so good on this and the Grozovoi. Any ship that has, no, honestly, the Z-52, any tier 10 ship that can get a good amount of AA damage and some flak, they're pretty scary, coupled with one extra person. They still have to defend themselves, and it still is a back and forth. But if there's one extra person for the enemy to be distracted by, namely the Bismarck, I have the ability to add a little bit of extra flak at a very accurate rate that is almost unavoidable unless he avoids me completely. So we're sailing south because clearly the Midway spotted. Want to try and keep the Bismarck alive. Now look at what the Midway just did. The Midway dropped a fighter outside of the Bismarck's AA range. He wants to keep him spotted, but he doesn't want to keep his attention only on him. It looks like he's going to try and round the Bismarck and torpedo him. Bismarck has his fighter up, and there's multiple enemy ships. I send a token torpedo at the GK, hoping that he'll be unaware and he'll sail right into it. I send my second set at the enemy Midway, who is border humping to try and get away. Don't blame him. And while all this is going on, I do have my AA turned on, and I'm completely fine with the AA being turned on. I want them to know I'm here, because I want to try and absorb some attention meant for our teammates. You remember Rootin' Tootin'? He's still holding down the fort at Sea Point. It would be really nice if these battleships would only pay attention to me. And I'm at a pretty good range that they have to be pretty accurate with their shots. So as long as I can keep pushing away and doing good broadside damage. Oh yeah, by the way, if you're firing on an aircraft carrier with HE, you want the shell to land at the top of the hull just before it hits the deck. It'll shatter on the deck, but the top of the hull, very low armor. And I'm just trying to push him into my torpedoes. He has no option other than to sail directly in the path. And it looks like we're going to hit 1, 2, 3, knock him out. Devastating strike. And we're going to kill off this last little squadron. He has nothing else to give his team. He's gone. He's gone from the game. Drop off completely because no one else is inside of my gun range. And I will have my torpedoes back up and ready to go. Now, the GK, clearly he avoided it. But that doesn't mean he can avoid the next one. So we're going to work our way towards him, knowing full well that the Yamato is also in the area. But there's no aircraft carrier that can spot me. And the only DD left on the enemy team was just pinged at D point. So I can be 100% aggressive, knowing there is not a single thing the enemy can do. They can't spot me, and he's burning down. Now I could fire on him and get some damage on him, but I don't want to work that way unless the teammate needs it. I would love to get closer to the Yamato and bait him into some torpedoes. And obviously, if I'm visible, it's not going to bait very well, right? The bait is the Bismarck, and I'm just trying to ambush with the bait. But teammates working on the enemy GK. Friendly Audacious does a little bit of a high explosive dive bomb. Doesn't kill him quite yet, but Rootin' Tootin' there for the crossfire, kills off the enemy GK. And now we have the enemy Yamato. Now there's still a lot of aircraft flying around, so I gotta be careful with my AA system. Honestly, I should probably turn it off, because it's just, there's no reason to risk it. What could I do? Get a little extra DPS? Get a little extra damage on aircraft? No. But we've got this Yamato in our sights, and he is sailing around wildly. I don't know why his guns are pointed in such a weird way. He clearly knows something's up, and I haven't been spotted for a while, and when I saw that his front two guns were pointed the wrong way, I was going to take advantage of it. I don't care if he wants to fire on me. Go right ahead. It does look like he wants to, though, and when he commits to that strategy, I commit to sitting in smoke while the torpedoes are going very, very quickly towards the target. Now, that's our second fire. He is not a fire prevention ship. Oh, oh, Rutan just rammed the enemy Montpelier. That's one way to do it. Oh, good torpedo damage. Flood both on the bow and the stern. This is a lot of dot damage, and I think he just wants to get out of the game. Yeah, we were doing a ton of dot damage in that moment. I think we were ticking at, I don't know, like 3 or 4K a second. It was good. And all that's left is that one enemy DD. He's being spotted by the enemy aircraft carrier. This is the game. We've won it. And honestly, it wasn't possible without that crazy, crazy play by the friendly DD to pull them all to the other side. Now, don't do that. But if a teammate is doing something that could potentially benefit you, might as well take advantage of it, because you're not going to change his mind. Let's be real. It's random battle. If you tell him that's a bad play, he's just going to shut you out. But if you can use that play to your advantage, maybe you can open up an even bigger play. And that's exactly what happened in this game, and it was really fun. Now, the enemy aircraft carrier didn't really go after us, but we were hopefully going to punish him with his attack rockets if he did. 209,000 damage done, 3 kills, 2,915 base XP, almost 3K. Rootin' Tootin' right there with me, and he was laughing because he thought he did more in comparison to what I contributed, but clearly he didn't. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to check out more of my content, you can click the most recent and the most relevant uploads. Also, you can subscribe to my channel. I do daily World of Warships videos, first impressions, how-tos, news articles. I also stream at twitch.tv/Notser. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.